Hey everyone, MTest here, and today we're going to be talking about the newest 3-star unit, Dehya. Now, people have been comparing her to Xinyan. She's terrible. She is an absolutely terrible unit. Now, can you make her good? Not really. Her multipliers damage-wise are not that impressive, but where she fits into the different team comps of Genshin Impact is almost non-existent. I'm going to go through a few different things about why I think Dehya really sucks. And I know that some people sugarcoat it, and they don't want to offend people because they say, oh, the character sucks. I will never tell you to get Dehya. And there is a new 5-star artifact set that's coming. I truly don't believe it's enough. I've already looked at the leaks. I truly don't believe it'll be enough. The math on it, it might look good, but you could literally just use like the emblem set and get similar damage. Like it's like 1% different, says Zajeff, the theory crafting math man. But she sucks. She's a terrible character. So let's get started. Let's get started and let's talk about it. So before we get into the actual gameplay, this trailer here is the most phoned in trailer imaginable. Like it's shocking. And you know, the sad thing is if you look at this first part here, they literally repeat this scene. They just swap up the angles right here. This time for talk's over. It's the exact same scene. They just changed the camera angles. But they were so lazy, they wouldn't get more footage for this 5-star unit. It is such a basic looking trailer. Half of it looks like they just recorded in Game Engine. I could probably make this trailer just me playing. I could go and attack some Emirites as Dehya and make a better trailer than this. And so it doesn't seem like they really cared about her that much from day one, from the trailer and beyond. As for her, I understand she looks awesome. When I first saw her, I was convinced this is my unit. I'm going to get her. She's going to be amazing. But there's a few things about her kit that just don't really make sense. So I guess let's just get this off our chest. I wanted her to be like a main DPS. I wanted to replace D-Lick with her. She is not a main DPS. She's not really a sub DPS either, for multiple reasons, which I'll talk about. And she's not like she's a tank, but like it's just terrible. So her basic attacks aren't infused. You can't infuse her basic attacks, so she could never really be a main DPS. You need to be able to infuse and do a bunch of reactions, and so it's just not really gonna work out for her. And so if you can't infuse your attacks, you're typically relegated to an off-field DPS. And if you look at this ability here, this is going to do some off-field damage. It's gonna tick and do some pyro damage. You can slam it down as well, and it seems like she would be a sub DPS. However, it ticks every 2.5 seconds. And the pyro application of this is terrible. So you can't use her with a bunch of hydro units, right? You can't use her with Ayato and get a bunch of vapes off because he's attacking so fast. You can't use her with Xingqiu, literally, because it doesn't work with his burst. And neither does Yelan. And could you use Kokomi? I mean, I guess. Sure. It just doesn't have enough application to be like a sub DPS that is supporting a main DPS damage dealer like Ayato. So she's almost like a Beto. She's almost like a pyro Beto where she's maybe doing some extra damage, but she's not getting any real reactions. And then technically you could use like the pyro resonance to get more attacks. So like I suppose that could work, but there's not a lot of applications for this ability. Now, it does provide you with some damage mitigation and some kind of super armor. If you look at her passive, no, this one here, you get some super armor, and that's cool and all, but you could also use like a Zhongli shield or any shield in the game. And she will essentially turn damage into a damage over time on herself and kind of eat that damage. And so you might not get one banged, but there's a lot of different ways in the game to not get one banged. Even just standing in Bennett's burst, like most characters can't die in his burst because it heals so much. And so there's not a lot of situations where I would care about this mitigation or I would care about this damage reduction or anything like that. Like, it doesn't seem that valuable. And if you're defending Dehya based on, well, she can give you super armor or you can do this, it's just not good enough. There's so many other characters that could bring so much more to the team. This ability here, because she's soaking up the damage, she's going to slowly take damage, you still need a healer. Or eventually you'll just die. Your characters will all die. Even if she's mitigating some of it, you're still gonna die. Or you need another shield or something like that. Now, she does have this passive, and this will give her some HP and everything, and that's good. Like, thank God she has something, but it still feels like she needs a healer in the team, and so why do you have this tank on the team? If you use Zhongli, you don't need a healer, because Zhongli can just shield the whole time, And so it opens up maybe another slot for more damage dealers. And in the case of Dehya, it would be like, I need Dehya and a healer, and then I've got 2 other units. And so it just doesn't feel very nice. And then, you know, she's not supposed to be this like main DPS, but then she has a super greedy main DPS ability where she's just slamming and jamming and attacking. And I mean, that's not great. It's not great because it doesn't work with Xingqiu or Yelan. And so even though she's being greedy on field, doing pyro attacks like maybe a Diluc would, she can't do one of the main reactions that are going to give her a boost of damage. You could throw some Rosaria attacks on the field, maybe a Ganyu, but you're not going to get like a ton of melts and a ton of vaporizes. She feels like she's in no man's land. She's not a great DPS. Her ratios and her numbers are not great. And she's like a tank, pseudo-tank thing that isn't bringing that much value to your team. She sucks, in my opinion. I think she's a pretty terrible unit, and I don't think that there's any redeeming quality for Dehya at this time. I think that if you care about having a strong account, I would never recommend you get her. There is an artifact set coming, and maybe they buff her before the banner goes away. They buffed Zhongli. Maybe some changes will happen. But for right now, I would not ever recommend her. I will be skipping her absolutely 100%. And I don't know, it just kind of feels bad. So she is going to be on the normal banner. There is a chance that you can get her from the normal banner and you can just kind of skip the current banner. But part of me would say that I would rather get the other banner characters than her. I would rather get Keqing. I would rather get Diluc, for sure. I would rather get Jean. I would rather have Mona. I would rather have Tanari. I would rather have everyone except Chi-Chi. I think Chi-Chi is still terrible. I just think she's terrible, in my opinion. Dehya at least would be like a little bit of fun. Chi-Chi is boring to play, and she doesn't have great reactions. Like, I think Chi-Chi's just terrible. But Dehya is pretty freaking bad. And I honestly, at first, I was excited because it was like, oh, well, now, you know, I could get her off the standard banner. And for me, I've already beat the game. It doesn't matter. But now part of me is like, oh god, there's 2 units on the banner that are like quite bad that you almost want to avoid. And so at first I was hyped about it because it's like, well, I could get Dehya instead of Chi-Chi, but I would rather have all the other units and constellations for those units than Dehya. So it's truly not fixing that problem of feeling bad and losing a 50-50. It's making it even worse potentially. I don't think I'm alone here with kind of the way I feel about the character. You know, the math doesn't lie. The feel of her doesn't lie. And I don't know, I wonder what her place is. I truly wonder what they were doing. And now, you know, someone said, well, you could use Bennett C6, and then you could maybe do some infused attacks. And that is true. You could do that. And maybe that would be crazy. I haven't tried it myself. But this thing is crazy. Listen, you can get frozen while in that animation, and then you have to spam jump to get out of it. And here's the craziest thing. Here's the shocking thing. If you use Dehya's burst and you jump, it cancels the burst. So if you do get frozen, which typically it's like, hey, if I'm fighting ice enemies, I might want to use Dehya to melt them. If you jump, it will cancel her burst. I don't know if that's a bug. I don't know what that is. I don't know why they would ever do that. But it's just like one more thing that it might not be that big, but it's just another reason to avoid her. It's more situations where she's not going to thrive. Because typically you take a pyro unit into a room where there's a bunch of hydro and cryo units and be like, yeah, this is a win for me. Now it's a potential liability. Summon for Dehya if you think she's hot and you want a hot character. If you've already beaten the game and you don't care, do whatever you want. Sometimes it's fun to slam and jam with her attacks. Like, it's kind of fun to do that, but I don't think she's the most fun character ever. Like, for me, I would compare her, like, if I'm comparing her to Keqing, who's more fun. Keqing is like dashing in, and then you use a burst, and attacks, where realistically, Dehya feels like you're placing down like Oz, you know, like you're placing down a turret, and then you're just like essentially basic attacking a little bit more ferociously. But for me, it doesn't feel as ferocious as Razor. Like when I play Razor, I feel like I'm like slamming and jamming and like attacking her. She's like, I'm gonna scratch you. I'm gonna scratch you up. Better watch out. So, anyways, that's my quick review. Don't know what else to say. Sorry, gamers. I'm disappointed too. I wanted her to pop off. As for her Claymore, the Claymore is pretty good because it's got that crit rate. Now, this is at level 80, so it'll get more crit rate and attack. And this passive, you know, it's like 40% more attack. So hypothetically, this is just a better version of Wolf's Gravestone because of this crit rate, I suppose. It gives you this HP, and, you know, that helps her HP scaling. But this would work on Diluc. It's a good weapon. But I don't think it's like Mist-Splitter or some of these, like, truly legendary 5-star weapons. It's a good weapon, but I bet you a Claymore will come out that power creeps this. I would gamble. I don't know when. I feel like it's been a long time, but I feel like there will be a better weapon than this one day. I wouldn't get it myself. I'm not going to get it. I'm not spending money on this bad boy. Just not going to happen. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I'll see you gamers bet. Okay? See. Okay. Yeah. All right.